In this class, we discuss about the performance appraisal. As it is quite a long topic, I would like to share with you on different parts under performance appraisal in different online classes. And first of all, let me explain to you what is appraisal and why do we have the performance appraisal in an organization. Appraisal is normally a formal process by which the progress, performance, results, and sometimes personality of an employee are reviewed and assessed by their immediate supervisor. So in other words, appraisal is a formal process. If you remember in our another class, we mentioned about the different steps for performance assessment. Say the first step is set targets, and then is by monitoring, and next is review, and the last part or step is action plan. And for appraisal or performance appraisal here is under the review, because the immediate supervisor or superior need to assess or appraise his team's performance or his members' performance and whether they can achieve the results, and sometimes also advise on personality in order to improve the overall productivity and efficiency in the work. So next, let's move on to talk about what are the purposes of appraisal, or why do we have appraisal in an organization. And here the approach we discuss, or the approach I share with you, is from a two-side views, the individual employee view and the employer view. From the point of view on the employee side, there are 5 different reasons to support for the appraisal. And the first one is providing a basis for remuneration for the coming period. It is quite easy to understand because for the appraisal, staff would like to ask what is the percentage increase in the salary for next year. And next, the appraisals help to ensure that work of particular merit is recognized. In an appraisal from the employee point of view, the employee would like to be recognized on his or her performance in the past year, especially when some achievements is done. So in the period of appraisal, the employee would like to hear the appreciation from the superior or the manager about his or her work. And next, the appraisals can also provide a forum for the employee to voice concerns about work areas that the employee is unhappy with. It should be careful on this part, because for employee, it's right that he or she can voice out about whether anything that he or she is unhappy with in the work areas. But for the appraisal, it is not a platform for complaints, because the employee should voice out any concerns during the work, not wait until the appraisal. So it is a chance for the employee to voice out in the appraisal, but cannot be considered appraisal is a platform for them to complain. And we will talk about this topic in the barriers of appraisals in another class. And the 4th reasons that supporting appraisal for employee is to establish of what is expected of the individual in the coming period and how the employee will be assessed by the business. So in this point, that means a communication of the company goals to the individual should be done during the appraisal about next period. Say, hey, you did a very good job in the past year. For example, sales increased by 10%, and for next year, we would like to have your support, say by the manager to the employee, to have the employee support to grow the sales by say another 8%. So during the appraisal, the goal should be set and communicate with the employee, and how the employee will be assessed by the business during the appraisal, during the communication within it. And once the goal is set and the past performance reviewed, then next step is to identify any training and development needs for the employee. It's very important to have a well-trained staff in the organization to achieve the company goals. And next is determination of the future employment of the individual. It doesn't mean that in the appraisal, if for poor performance staff, then here is the chance for the company to discharge the employee. No, it means that whether any opportunities for the staff to get promoted and communicate during the appraisal, or transfer to another department for them or for the employee to learn some new things, or about the career path or career development in the same position. Say, hey, from the manager to talking to the staff, talking to the employee that whether he or she would like to stay in the same role for say 1 or 2 more years, and what can the company help to develop his or her career, or what can the staff to perform or to achieve in order to get promoted, say, in 3 or 2 years' time. So here, appraisal is also looking for a medium or long-term career development for the employee. And from the employer point of view, the objective of appraisals include here, first, monitoring of human resources selection processes against results. It means that if a company goal is set, the employer should consider where the human resources is adequate to achieve the result based on the people hired, or should the organization change the staff mix in order to hire the right people in order to get the results. And next, identification of the best candidates for promotion or early retirement, etc. It means that during the appraisal, it's time for the employer to listen to the employees, whether their career goal, say, maybe some of the family reasons they would like to get early retirement, they can voice out during the appraisal period and feedback to the employer or to his immediate managers. Then the employer or the company can identify who has the intention to retire earlier. They can plan better for the human resources, or they can identify any best candidates or good candidates for promotion in when, say in 1 year times or in 2 years time, and what training needs for them. So here next is about the problems. Identification of problems or difficulties with the job that have not been previously realized. During the appraisals, because it's a performance review, and the communication between the manager and the employee should be reported to the senior management. And once the problems identified or the difficulties are identified, then the organization can think about whether there's any change, any needs for the change in the job or in the organization in order to solve the problems or difficulties. And the fourth point here is the appraisals can help to formulate the training plan by identifying weaknesses or skills gaps in employees. As I mentioned in the second point here, the employer can identify the best candidates for promotion, early retirement. But at the same time, the employer can also identify what the training needs is required for some particular employees, or it doesn't mean that the employee perform poor, but here the employer can identify any potential candidates in the companies. If certain training or development plan are engaged by the employees, then he or she can perform much better because of high potential, for example, to be the leader for the company in some years' time, say in 5 years or in 4 years. Then it helps the organization to achieve the long-term strategic goal as well. So here, for the appraisal, the employer can consider it is a chance for them to formulate a training plan by identifying the weaknesses or skill gaps in the team. And next, the appraisals from the employer point of view can help to formulate a human resources plan improvement of communication between managers and subordinates. Some issues or problems are not observed in the period, say for example in the daily job. But during appraisals, the staff can communicate with his or her managers about, say, any overtime work, or any new resources needed, or any new employee needed to perform the job, for example. And it has a chance for the managers and subordinates to communicate during the appraisal. Sometimes the people, they don't want to share in their daily, say in the daily work, but they would like to share much more in a formal review or formal process, because all communications will be reported or logged. And from our discussion, the approach that we share is from the employer point of view and the employee point of view. And in this additional learning, I would like to share another approach. It is a simple approach on the appraisals, the purpose of appraisals, and not dividing into employees and employers, because sometimes the people will be misunderstood. This simple approach I'll share with you. A simple approach is to explain the appraisals have 3 main purposes. The first purpose is reward review components. So what does that mean? It means that the first purpose is to measure the extent to which an individual may be awarded a salary increase compared with his or her peers. In other words, the first purpose of appraisal is simple. Between the employees and employers is say, hey, any salary increase, the reward, and how can I compare with my peers as well. Even many organizations, they don't want to disclose for the salary increments in an organization. Even for the average, say 5%, 10%, they don't want to disclose because the people would like to benchmark with it, or even to compare with their peers, that it is harmful or not good. Okay, to be a neutral word, is not good to the organization's environment or the sentiment in the work environment. So but the people would like to benchmark, and in the appraisal they would like to know, even they cannot benchmark with others, they would like to know how much of the salary increase in the next period. So here is the first purpose of appraisal based on this simple approach. The second purpose based on the simple approach is the performance review component. It means that an appraisal is to identify any training needs and, if appropriate, to provide training and development to enable an individual to help the organization to achieve its objectives. So it measures the performance, and we are not talking about the salary in the second point. We talk about how to close the gap or the skill gaps in order for the staff to perform better in order to achieve the company goal. And the final one, or the final purpose under this simple approach, is potential review components. Because for appraisals, they are also important to aid an individual's career development by attempting to predict work that the individual may be capable of in the future. It highlights any potential candidate in the company can be the next leader, maybe in 5 years or in even longer period of time. So the HR, the human resources department, can have the career development plan or the training plan for those highly potential candidates in order for them to perform much better for the future leaders in the organization. So here, as a simple approach, there's only 3 main purposes of appraisals. First, reward review components. Second, performance review components. And the third is potential review components. And here is about a question for us to review what are the concepts that we learned in this class. The question here, which of the following is an objective of the appraisal process to an employer? It has 4 options, and only one of them is correct. And if you remember what I shared with you from the employer point of view, there are 5 purposes of appraisal. And in this class, we highlight that, say, monitoring of human resources, selection process against results, and identification of best candidates for promotion, early retirement. We list out all of them. And one of the options here is matched with what we discussed.